Hi everyone, welcome to TwoTwins in EVE, your weekly update for EVE Online stuff. I am your host, delonewolf. The footage you're seeing in the background is from what we believe to be a new level 4 storyline mission called 9/10 of a Wormhole. It involves some Sancha, so lots of lasers. Before we go into the meat of the matter for this week, we had 2 emergency reboots of the servers due to a problem with plex not redeeming properly. So if you read the announcement on the EVE Online website, there are 2 things you can do. You can either try to put these plex into the redeemable items from in-game, so you just right-click them and take the option to add them to redeemable items and then go from there. And if that doesn't work, you have to file a petition. For the dev blogs this week, we have one from CCP Soundwave. And the teams BFF and Pink Zombie Kittens have been disbanded. But don't fret too much over it. They have in fact been split up into 3 new teams because they have added some people to these teams. And they are now Team Super Friends, Team Game of Drones and Team 5-0. So these are the 3 new teams that are going to continue the work from Team BFF and Team Zombie Kittens. And in the dev blog they already announced several new improvements to the game that they're going to add in the next patch. There's a lot of rebalancing of ammunition, rebalancing of assault ships. I think that's something that's been asked for a lot, and several other smaller improvements to the game. And really there's quite a lot actually to it also in the pipeline. So if you thought that after Crucible the improvements to EVE Online were going to stop, think again, go read this dev blog. They are really working hard on optimizing EVE Online and continuing to improve it further. Now onto the meat of the matter, the CSM minutes for the December 7 meeting. It's actually 44 pages long, so if you want to read it, make sure you have some time for it. Let me just go over some of the stuff that I thought were pretty interesting in these CSM minutes. Let's start with more focus on iteration on old systems. So there was a pretty long discussion about CCP trying to refocus on improving older systems rather than always trying to add new features. The first one they're going to look at is war itself. And one of the aspects that they are going to try and improve is to make all the information like timers, aggression mechanics, available targets and things like that much more visible to the players, so that they can get into war much more quickly and know where and who they can shoot at. Another part of the CSM minutes that were somewhat controversial were some of the CSM changes that CCP proposed, especially the proposition to go into a system with a single transferable vote with the next elections. The CSM was strongly opposed to this and believed that such a system would be manipulated by strong power blocks. So we'll have to see if this system changes or not. Something pretty interesting is that CCP wants to start with a system for EVE veterans or loyalty programs, so in order to reward players that have been playing for a long time or have been subscribed for a long period of time in one go, and they want to try and reward these players. A fun fact that came up was that once a player has been subscribed for 3 years, apparently is addicted to EVE Online, and it's very unlikely that that player will leave. For the economic part of the minutes, the new Tier 3 battlecruisers got a big thumbs up from both CCP and the CSM, so they were very happy with that. Surprisingly enough, inflation would only be 1% at the moment, and that's pretty surprising to me. And the information they gave about the plexes were that they've become a very large part of the market, and that the reason why prices are rising so much is not so much that there is more ISK in the game itself, but a factor is how quickly ISK changes hands, and that this can also lead to inflation in certain assets, and namely in plexes at the moment. So that's a pretty interesting theory. It's something I'd have to look into to be able to make a better judgment about what CCP is saying here. But if they're saying that ISK inflation is at 1%, then well, I can only believe that. Pretty surprising to me though. On the incursion front, and the only real rebalancing they are going to try and apply is that at the moment some of the easier incursion sites are making most of the ISK, so they're going to try and rebalance the time and difficulty versus the reward for the incursions. But it seems that they're pretty happy with the amount of ISK that the incursions are generating at the moment. On the plex again, there was some talk between CCP and the CSM on whether or not they should intervene because of player manipulation in the plex market, or if they should leave it completely free. No conclusion can really be found in the minutes, but of course it's CCP's game, and if one party would be manipulating the plex prices to ridiculous levels, I would fully understand CCP coming in and intervene in the plex market in order to protect its players. CCP did want to make it clear that what they actually prefer are low prices for plex, because that means that more players have access to them, and it takes them less time to actually gather the necessary ISK for the plex, and does that means in general more subscribers to them. So they prefer lower prices. A lot of people have been speculated that high prices are a benefit for CCP. That's actually not true. On the topic of 0-0 and things that touch around that, I thought it was pretty interesting that the CSM considers that an alliance income should be based on the amount of sovereignty that they hold, and not just tech moons like it is at the moment. I thought that was pretty interesting, but I do wonder how they will balance that when really big block starts to form, and how this can be stopped if the income simply continues to grow with the amount of sovereignty. CCP and CSM have definitely been discussing changing the drone alloys to bounties, so that should make mining more viable in 0-0 again as a profession. I thought that was pretty interesting as well, a change like that. There was talk of a new capital ship designed specifically to tackle super caps. The CSM is definitely of the opinion that there are way too many super caps and that they are not getting destroyed fast enough compared to how many are being built at the moment. And one of the solutions presented by CCP was to create a capital ship that is specially designed to tackle super caps. Pretty interesting, we'll see what comes of this. The CSM wants destructible outposts. This is not negotiable for them. It's not a matter of if but when. The CCP of course has some problems with this, like what with all the stuff that happens in there, but well, the CSM is pretty adamant about this. There was some talk about merging faction warfare with 0-0. Maybe even as early as summer 2012, so CCP definitely wants to improve on faction warfare, and there will be a pretty serious nerf to the Drake. So both the CSM and the CCP agreed that something had to be done about this ship, and they probably will. I'm sure if you've read the forums that you already know about this. That's probably the first half of the CSM minutes. I honestly didn't read the rest of it with that much attention. It touches on low-sec wormholes and a lot of other stuff that I'm sure is really interesting, but it was 44 pages, so I honestly didn't go through that with as much detail as the first half. But a few other interesting things that I saw there were some proposed UI improvements. One that I really liked was a picture-in-picture of your target. I think that could be something fun to have and something pretty interesting. Maybe have some tactical use as well if you can watch what your target is doing. But one that I really liked was the idea to make the drones in a similar fashion in the HUD like guns, so that you could basically add your drones as a form of a charge, the small, medium and large ones, and then you just have to click on a button to deploy them and attack them and tell them to attack a target. So I thought that was very interesting, something that I saw as definitely having some potential, and that would be a cool improvement to the UI and to how drones work to make that a bit easier. So that's it. If you want to have a read of the full CSM minutes, just go over to the website and click on the link there. And that's it for me for this week. I thought these were pretty interesting, and I'll see you all next time.